Capitulum Vigesimum Quartum, chapter 24, Puer Aegrotus, the sick boy. Salvete. We're going to continue chapter 24, and we're almost to chapter 30. I think it's 30 chapters. Let's see what we get new. Most likely going to be in other tents. He cranking out these tenses chapter for chapter real fast. As you can see, still ain't too hard for us. Once we get the hang of it, it'll take practice. So let's begin. Interim quintus lecto tenetur. Meanwhile, Quintus is kept in bed. Puer Aegrotus interumque superlectum se convertit, nec dormire potest, sive in latere dextro cubat, sive in latere sinistro. The sick boy again and again turns himself upon the bed and is not able to sleep on the bed, whether on his right side or on his left side. Itaque electo suggerre conatur, se pes denuo dolere incipit. And so he tries to get up from the bed, but his foot begins to hurt again. Puer teritus, puer teritus, and pedes nudos aspicit it. The terrified boy looks at his naked feet and inquit says, Quid hoc est? What is this? Pes dexter multo maior es quam pes laevus. My right foot is much bigger than my left foot. Quintus miratur quod pedes, qui herri pares erat, hodie tam impares sunt. Quintus is surprised because of his feet, which was errant, equal pares herri yesterday, hodie today, sunt are tam so impares uneven. Tum puer aegrotus in lecto recumbit. So the sick boy lies back down on the bed. Villa quieta es. The villa is quiet. Nullus sonus auditor. Ab ulla parte. Not a sound is heard from any part. Any part we lie of the villa. Etiam aves tempestate subita terretae in horto silent. And also the birds, etiam aves, frightened, terretae subita tempestate, by the sudden storm, In horto silent is silent in the garden. And look at the word silent, right? Silent. It's not even an English word. It's literally a Latin word we say every day. Erroneously. That's why I always say we say Latin words all the time. We just say it in a different dialect. Silent instead of silent. At subito silentium clamore et strepitu maximo rumpitor. Heus dawe apprehensionem. But the sudden silence is broken rumpitor by strepitu maximo, by very large strepitu interruption. Loud noise, racket, raucous, et clamore, and shout. The silence is broken up by a loud shout and a loud noise. And he said, "Hey, Dawus, open this door." That is Marcus trying to get out. Na Marcus in cubiculo suo, qua juxta cubiculum quinti est, magna voce clamat, et forem manibus pedibusque percutit. For Marcus is in his room, which is next to the room of Quintus, shouts in a loud voice and bangs on the door for him with his hands manibus and with his feet pedibus que. And remember that que connected as and, his hands and feet. Quintus qui tantum strepitum rator siram vocat quae continuo accurrit. Quintus, who is shocked by much racket, calls Sira, who come running up immediately. Continuo. Quides, quinde, putavi te dormire, putavi de dormire. What's up, Quintus? I thought you were sleeping. Mene dormire per tantum strepitum. Do you think that me sleeping through so much racket? Quid agitor, Sira? What's going on, Sira? Quam oberem Marcus si clamat, ac forem tam valde percutit. What's the matter with Marcus so loud? What's up with Marcus so loud? And beating, percutit, banging so strongly, valde, tam valde, so strongly, for him on the door. Noli hoc mirari. Don't be surprised by this. Marcus forem frangere conator, quad aliter exire non potes. Marcus tries to break the door, frangere, quad, because he is not able Exire, to go, to exit or to leave out. Aliter, what is that? I know that word on top of my tongue, but let's be sure. Other, otherwise. Otherwise, he's not otherwise able to go out. Se tu quid agis, dolet ne tibi pes ad hoc. But what's up with you? Are your foot still hurting? Yeah. And puer pedem sibi dolere ait. The boy says that his foot is hurting. Valde mihi dole pes, ob dolorem electo, sugere non possum. My foot is hurting strongly or badly. Ob dolorem electo, because I am hurt in bed, sugere non possum, and not able to get up. Tu ne lecto sugere conatus, that you try to get up out of bed. Certe surgere conatusum, at nece se fut me continuo recubere ite pes doluit. Certainly I tried to get up, but it was necessary for me to lay back down immediately. Thus my foot hurt. Entuere pedes me osira comparaeos. Look at my feet, Sirrah, compare them. Antequam de arbore cecedi pareserant, nunc pes dexter major es pede laevo. Before I fell down from the tree, before I fell down from the tree, it was, I think this new, errant. It had been, yeah. It had been, so that's the first new tense. And this tense is just another past tense. I know it kind of confuses, but with this one we use the word had and or had been. So remember that it's erat. That's the plural because you talk about 2 feet, right? It had been equal, pares. Nunc, now, pes dexter, my right foot, major is bigger than pede laevo, my left foot. And I wonder why I'm using laevo instead of sinistro, but that's another. No need to try to guess that. Ego non miror pedem tuum aegrum esse. I is not shocked that your foot is unwell. Quod de tam alta arbore conquidisti, for you fell from such a tall tree. At mirror te cruz non fragisse, and I'm surprised that you didn't break fragisse. Te cruz, the fragisse. I'm surprised you didn't cruise. See. Let me see. We got plenty of things we can leg. And I'm surprised that you didn't break your leg. Facile os frangere potuisti. You could have easily broken a bone os. Quisquit, you don't, I mean, you know how you know. Fortase os fractubis, maybe I did fracture a bone. Nam pedem vix movere possum sine doloribus, for my feet is barely able to move without pains. Ossa tua integra sunt omnia. All of your bones are whole. Noli frere, don't weep, frere. And puer romanum sine lacrimis dolere pati decet. For a Roman boy, it's fitting for a Roman boy to pati dolorem, to pati suffer pain, dolorem sine lacrimis, without tears. We're always popping up the Roman boys. Now they know they could use them, lay that wall, don't cry. Teach them that. We still do that these days. Boys don't cry, saying things like that. Non flail, I'm not weeping. Et si dolorem gravem patior. Although I suffering much pain, tristum sum. I am sad, quod mihi necessest intus cubare, because it is necessary for me that I must lay down inside. Dum alii pueri foris ludunt, while the other boys play outside. Let's pause it right here. Get something to drink. Take a break. Let's continue. So, we already did this. Let's parse this before we go anywhere. Now, flail, I'm not wailing or weeping. Etsi dolorem gravem patior. And again, Etsy, another company that know how to talk to your bloodline. And then you might don't in your lifetime never heard these companies using these terms, never heard these terms these companies using, but they know how to speak to your blood memory. Etsy, that's just like saying although I patior, I suffered gravem, heavy, or much, dolorem, pain, tristisum, I am sad, quod mihi necesse, because it is necessary for me, intus cubare, tule cubare intus inside. Dum when ali I pueri, the other boys, ludunt, play foris outside. Consulare me sirra, console me sirra, concide hic juxta lectum, sit here next to the bed, et loquere mecum, and speak with me. Sirra juxta lectum ad latus pueri laevum concidit, et umque sic consulator. Sirra sits concidit juxta lectum next to the bed ad latus on the side pueri of the boy laevum, left on the left side of the boy. Sic thus consulator consoled eum hum. And you know the quiz and so and thus and consoles him. Or and thus consoled him. Noli tristis esse quali hic intus cubas. Don't be sad because you lay here inside. Imo laetare te non inclusum esse in cubiculo ut fratem tuum. Therefore be happy that you are not locked inside your room like your brother. Nec Marco licet cum aliis pueris ludere. Neither is Marcus allowed to play with the other boys. Is not Aegrotus nec doleres patitor. He is not unwell and neither suffered pain. Et si valet certe tergi toleres passus est. Although he's well, certainly he suffers pain in his backside. Esne weberatus Marcus, was Marcus whipped? Cor ei non licet excere, why is he not able to go out? Qui factum est postquam frater meus domo rediit. What happened after my brother returned home? Omnia ignoro, dum hic solus cubo, nihil noscere possum, et si omnia scire cupio. Nosy. Although I know, basically ignoro. I don't know nothing. I'm ignorant of everything. While I lie here alone, I'm able to know nothing. Although our love, now we get the word Cupid, Valentine's Day Cupid, his name is Desire. I will desire our love, scire, to know, omnia, everything. Being nosy. Si radicit, Iam narrabo tibi omnia quae facta sunt. Now I will tell you everything. I will tell to you everything that has happened. Frater tuus hodie sine comite in ludum iit. Your brother went to school today without company, a companion. Nonne medus eum comitatus est. Aunt Medus accompanied him. Medus herri domo fugit. Medus ran away from home yesterday. Puto quia amicam suam, quae Romae habitat, videre cupivit. I think because he desired to see his new girlfriend who lives at Rome. Commodore Medus, qui vix umquam Romae fuit, puella Romonam noscere potuit. How Medus, who was barely ever at Rome, is able to be acquainted noscere puella Romana, with the Roman girl, able to know, to be acquainted with a Roman girl, puella Romana. Nescio comodo, I don't know how. Se certo scio e aliquam femina novice. But he know, but I'm certain, but I know certainly that he knows some female. Nam saepe de ea locutus est, for he often speaks of her, about her, nihil difficiles amanti ut aiunt. It is not difficult to love, to be loved, or to love, ut aiunt, as they say. That's a common phrase in English. I can start saying that in Latin. As they say, ut aiunt. Get something to drink. Speed this up a little bit. Medus icitor hodie Marcum comitari non potuit. So Medus was not able to accommodate company Marcus today. Long one. Nuper Marcus solus rediit. Se pater filium suum reduentem vix cognovit. Recently, Marcus returned alone, but his father was barely able to recognize his son when he returned. Let's see that. All that inside there somewhere written in there. Neque eum osculatus est ut solet, and neither gave him a kiss or kissed him as usual. Na Marcus non modo humidus erat, for Marcus had been, and that's what we learned in this one, erat. I can see that now. I'm about to give you the verb version. You remember, erat is connected to these verbs. So that's just another past tense, most likely used when telling stories. We say that these days have been not only wet, qua per embrem ambulaverat, because he had been walking through the rain. Sed etiam sordidus atque cruentus, but because he was dirty and bloody. Quod humiaquerat, because he laid on the ground, he had been laying on the ground, et a sexto pulsatus erat, and he had been hit by Sextus. So you can see, had been can be used perfectly with that erat, and it fits in our English translations. Pueri enim in via pugnahuerant. The boys had been fighting in the street. Primo Marcum pulsaverat Sextus. First, Sextus had hit Marcus. Tum Marcus et Titus Sextum pulsaverat. Then Marcus and Titus hit Sextus. Hoc audito Dominus Marcum severe reprehendit. Hearing this, the master reprehended Marcus severely. Tunc Marcus iam lautus erat. Es vestem mutaverat. Then Marcus had been already washed and had already changed his clothes. Domina eum sordidum atque cruentum non videt. The mistress did not see him dirty and bloody. Basically, this telling us what happened in the last chapter, and that's a good way to do that, because you can use your erat version of your verb had been by them telling the story of what had happened. Marcus Verro se bonum discipulum fuese dixit. Marcus had said that he was a good student. Etsi in ludo dormiverat. Although he had slept in school, nec magisterum recitantem audiverat. Neither, and he didn't heard the teacher reciting. Ceterum in hac re in non peior fuerat ceteris. Anyway, in this matter, he was not worse than he had not done worse than the others. Nam omnes dormiverant, for all of them had been sleeping, or had slept. Prostremo litteras pulcras qua sextus scripserat matri ostendit atque dixit, se ipsum eas litteras scripsisse. Lastly, the beautiful letters which had been wrote by Sextus, what Sextus has written, was shown to the mother, and he said that he himself had written the letters, that the letters had been written by himself. Tam tu Peter frater tuus metitus est. So your brother lied ugly. Let's see another word. Tu Peter. Shamefully lied. So your brother shamefully lied. Quomodoskis Marcum mentitum esse, et eas litteras a sexto scriptas esse. How do you know that Marcus had lied and that the letters was written by Sextus. Quia nomen sexti in tabula scriptum erat, because the name of Sextus had been written on the tablet. Et palo post tabularius advenit, and a little after, the mailman arrived. Num per aliquem Januam pusare et canem valde latrare audivi. Recently, someone had knocked on the door, and I heard the barking. I heard that the dog barked strongly barked. Valde, heavily or strongly. The dog barked heavily. Tum subito magna voce clamavit aliquis. Then suddenly someone had shouted with a loud voice, Qui nam tantus ille tumultus significavit. What in the world is the meaning of that tumultus? That's like turbulence, troubles. What is the meaning of such racket? And tabularius clamavit quod canem veritus est. The mailman had been shouting because he was afraid of the dog. Nec sine causa nam canis eum mordit et vestem meius scidit, and neither without cause, for the dog had bitten him and has ripped his clothes. Is canis lupo ferocio rest. This dog is more ferocious than a wolf. Ego canem janitoris non vereor, neque umquam ab eo morsus sum. I am not afraid of the janitor's dog, and neither I am never bitten by him. Ignon mior nam canis saepissime te videt. It is not surprising, for the dog often sees you very often. Canis te novit, ignorat illum. The dog knows you, does not know him. Talking about the mailman. Canis me non modo novit, sed etiam diligit. The dog does not only knows me, but also likes me. Na multa ei ossa dedi, for I give him many bones. Et saepe cum eo luci, and I often play with him. Ceterum quid atulit tabularius. Anyway, what did the mailman brought? Epistulam atulit. He brought a letter in qua magister scripserat, which had been written by the teacher. Marcum discipulum pegerimum fuese, that Marcus has been the most laziest student. Aque foede et prave scripsisse, and he wrote ugly and incorrectly. Tu Marcus, qui primo omnia negaverat, se mentitum esse fasus est. Then Marcus, who at first had denied everything, confesses that he had lied. Profecto verbra meruit. Certainly, he deserved a whooping. Magister eum iam bis verat. The teacher had already whooped him twice. He had already been whooped twice by the teacher. No, the teacher had already whooped him twice. Let's say that. Because they ain't got magister, ain't got by the teacher, it got just the teacher. So let's stick with that. Even though it might sound better, but the way I did it, that's what we call the passive voice. That's now when they whoop by the teacher, right? So we in the active voice, not the passive. Nec igitor pater eum de nuo vebrare voliut, he wasn't. The father didn't want to beat him again. Said in cubiculum inclusit, but locked him in his room. Ceterum facile tibi est fratrem tuum reprehendere. Anyway, it is easy for you to reprimand your brother dum ipse hic in moli lectulo cubas, while yourself is laying here on the soft bed. Tune ipse semper bonus discipulus est. Are you yourself always a good student? Melior sum frate meo. I am better than my brother. Heri laudatus sum. Yesterday I was praised. Quia pulchre scripseram et recitaveram. Because I had right beautifully. I had right and recited beautifully. Tu ne solus pulchre scripseras et recitaveras. You alone wrote and recited beautifully. In omnes, even though all. Why catching a brain fart on emo? It happens. Emmanuel. On the contrary, that's why I use even though. On the contrary, all except praeter Marcum laudati sum. On the contrary, all except Marcus was praised. Quod pulchre scripseramus et recitaveramus. Because we wrote beautifully, we wrote and recited beautifully. Si vos laudati estis, quod pulchrius scripseratis et recitaveratis, quam Marcus non ille tan recte scripserat quam vos. If y'all was praised, if y'all is praised because y'all had wrote beautifully and recited beautifully, which Marcus did not Marcus have been did not Marcus written so correctly as y'all? Didn't Marcus wrote as correctly as y'all? Quamos for Marcus, then Marcus, yeah. Ego Marcon Beninovi, nec puto eum vopis tutiorme mese, for I know Marcus well. I don't think he is dumber than y'all. Ad certe pigrior es nobis, but he's certainly lazier than us. And that's the end. Yeah, that's the end. It wasn't too long, it was kind of short. And he didn't teach too much, he just teach erat, had been. So it's kind of easy. So we'll see you in the next chapter 25. We're going through this kind of fast, but we're learning a whole lot. So anyway, Walete, till next time, farewell.